The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The power of what time? Now. This is a review of this incredible book. Is it worth reading, and what will you get out of it? I think it's a fantastic book. It changed my life. It could change yours. So, The Power of Now. This is an epic book. It's a New York Times best-selling book. It's been published in multiple languages around the world. And in this YouTube video, I am going to do a review of the book. But you know what? That review could go on for hours because it's such a rich book. There's so much information and wisdom there. And I'm deeply grateful for Eckhart Tolle and the work that he did. I remember reading in the book that he talked about a breakdown that he had when he was 29 years old in London, when he really woke up to the reality of his own experience. Now that might sound a little bit heavy for you, but the thing I'm fascinated about as a coach is, what is the experience like of being you? What does it look like to be you? What does it feel like to be you? Because ultimately, if we don't become aware, which is really one of the key things that the book focuses on, focusing on becoming aware of the experience of being you, and maybe starting to realize that who you think you are isn't who you necessarily have to be. You are more than your thoughts. But like I say, there's so much I could talk about this book, but for me personally, having read it multiple times, is when he talks about the power of now. The power of now is waking up to the reality that you are a spiritual being living in this human body. Now, if you'd mentioned that to me 10, 15, 20 years ago, I might have thought, I don't actually get what it is that you're saying. But what he's really talking about is our ability to step back and observe the experience of being ourselves and see that ultimately we have a choice. He talks about the tyranny that exists inside our mind. For me, that's the duck. You know, I'm pretty well known for ducks. People give me ducks. I've even written a book called Shut the Duck Up. The duck in my head is the part of me that wants me to stay where I am, that wants me to be like everybody else. It wants me just to fit in. And in Eckhart's book, he's really asking you to wake up to realize that isn't necessarily who you have to be. And when he talks about success, he talks about success, really the ultimate success is being in the moment. That's a really hard thing to do today. I've mentioned in other YouTube videos that the man who won the Nobel Prize in 1972, he basically said the biggest problem in the world right now is too much information. And that was 1972. Fast forward to today and you think, well, how much information is there? How much distraction is there? So the first step that he talks about is that awareness. But that's challenging because it means you're going to have to switch off. It means you're going to have to stop doing a lot of what you're doing. But if you don't, if you always do what you've always done, then you can fill in the gaps. If you always do what you've always done, then you're always going to get what you've always got. And human beings are incredibly predictable. Human beings are incredibly repetitive. And it's only when we stop, and it's only when we become aware and we start to, as he talks about, to become the witness. Not to label it as right or wrong or good or bad. It's just observing it. And that's a difficult thing to do. I remember when I read this book, where it took me years to first of all read it, I really resisted it because I didn't want to read a book about being in the now. I was running away from a past and I was obsessed about the future. I wasn't here. And that's been one of my biggest challenges in my life, to actually be in the moment. But what I ask you to do, which is exactly what he asks you to do in the book, is to be curious about what would be the greatest achievement in your life. What would be the greatest success in your life? Would it be to become more aware? And then to realize that in actual fact, you have a choice. So when we look at the experience of being ourselves, and again, this is something he talks a lot about, is about accepting. Accepting everything that happens as if it happens for you. I think that this is something that Benjamin Hardy talks a lot about in his book, Personality Isn't Permanent. To be able to look back through your life and to think this happened for me, as opposed to me. But what Eckhart talks about, which I think is taking it to another level, is that everything that is going to happen to you in the future, accept it. Accept every situation and know with all of those situations, you've got three choices. You can either remove yourself from that situation, you can change it, or you can accept it. It's waking up to the power of now. It's waking up to the power of being able to step in to that space between thoughts and feelings. And again, this is something he talks a lot about in the book, being able to catch your thoughts. Because if you don't catch your thoughts, all of a sudden you'll have a thought, and then before you know it, that thought has turned into emotion. The emotion is turned into feeling, and that feeling often is debilitating. It's frustration, it's guilt, it's doubt, it's shame. And what he's asking you to do is to catch it, become aware of it, and then realize that you actually have a choice. You can change it. Is that not one of the greatest achievements that any human being will ever have in their entire life? The fact that we can actually change the way that we think, change the way that we feel, come up with ideas, bring those ideas into life. As a coach, one of the most fascinating things is when someone does tell you an idea and then immediately they become aware of the interference. They become aware of, no, you can't do that, that won't work, you've tried it before, you're not good enough. And that is why the awareness is so important, because when you're witnessing that going on, you can go, hang on a second. I don't have to think that. I can change what I think, I can change how I feel, and I can change the whole world. And you know what? In all the things in his amazing book that I love, it was this. It was the realization that I am complete. The realization that I already have everything I need. The realization that I have all of the assets in me. That was a massive wake-up call for me, because I actually thought what I wanted, what I needed, was something in the future. It was fulfillment in the future. I couldn't be happy now. Happiness was a future destination. And I think this is where a lot of people struggle in life, because they don't actually enjoy the ride. They don't enjoy the process, because they think the answer is the result. Does this make sense? The fact that if you think the answer is the result, you'll never enjoy the ride. And that's why there is a word that is known as hero in the beginning. Since words, the first words that were ever invented, written down, Sanskrit, there is a word that means that. Hero in the beginning, you start things with great intentions, but you give up. How would your life be fundamentally different if you learned how to want the result, but love the process? To absolutely love that, the journey that we're all on as you enter into the now. And I really encourage you to see life as two different worlds. You can enter into the now, or you could enter into the not now, where I'm not actually here. I'm not actually in this moment. I'm in my past, I'm in my future, rather than be here now. I cannot recommend this book enough. And I would love to know, comment below. Is this a book that you've actually read? Has it impacted your life? In what way has it impacted your life? And with this video, what are your takeaways from this? In everything that we do, we are here to inspire you to look at life differently, and then we maybe make a different set of choices. And by making different choices, who knows where your life can go. To infinity and beyond. Thank you so much. I look forward to reading your comments, and we'll see you next time.